This is an active and fast-moving situation. Everything you are about to hear was factually true and verifiable at the time I recorded this, unless I clearly say otherwise. Hello everybody, it's Mr. Robbie here. Trump keeps claiming he's ended 7 wars, sometimes 8. At one point, 8 1/4 wars. What he did not avoid was language. In his own words, this was an assault on Venezuela, an assault on its sovereignty. And yet, almost immediately, that same assault was reframed as a law enforcement operation. These two things cannot be true at the same time. This was an invasion dressed up as law enforcement. The United States carried out a coordinated military assault inside Venezuela. There were explosions in Caracas, low-flying aircraft over the capital, and power outages that plunged parts of the city into darkness. Military assets were used in the air, sea, and on land. This operation had a name: Operation Absolute Resolve. It was planned for months, with many rehearsals, and it involved intelligence agencies and the U.S. military. This wasn't spontaneous, and it was not reactive, and it was not policing. Trump posted on social media that this was carried out by U.S. law enforcement. But here is the problem. No law enforcement agency has been identified. No FBI, no DEA, no Marshal Service, no warrants, no extradition request, no judicial process. What has been named are military branches and intelligence agencies: the Navy, the Air Force, the Air National Guard, CIA, NSA, and the NGI, which is the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Law enforcement does not bomb cities. They don't violate another country's airspace. Law enforcement doesn't shut down a foreign capital, and it does not announce plans to run another country afterward. This is military force. Maduro and his wife are now in U.S. custody in New York. They're facing federal criminal charges, including narco-terrorism. He was first indicted by the U.S. in 2020, and these charges still exist and stand today. None of that required bombing Caracas. Arrests are not invasions. Extraditions don't involve airstrikes. The justification being offered is criminal prosecution, but the method matters. You don't overthrow sovereignty to serve an indictment, and you don't carry out military operations in a foreign capital and then call it law enforcement. If this were truly about arrests, this would have followed legal channels. Instead, it followed a military one. Trump has now said repeatedly that the United States will run Venezuela until a transition occurs. That is his language. Running another country is not policing, it's not law enforcement, and it's not extradition, it's control. Congress has not authorized a war with Venezuela, and Trump has not declared one. But you don't need a declaration of war for something to be called an invasion. Bombing a city, violating another country's airspace, and launching military attacks inside its borders is what an invasion looks like, whether the White House wants to use that word or not. It's not rhetoric, it's reality. I have said this before, and again it matters here. Members of the U.S. military are required to disobey unlawful orders, even when legality has not yet been ruled on. Service members retain the right and the obligation to refuse participation as conscientious objectors. Searching one's conscience is not disloyalty, it's duty. At the same time that this is happening, Trump is claiming there's peace in the Middle East because of him. He's also claiming that Washington, D.C. and New Orleans are completely safe and crime-free. And he warned the president of Colombia to, quote, watch his ass. Little Marco Rubio followed that by saying that when the president speaks, it should be taken seriously, specifically referencing Colombia and Cuba. You can't claim to be a peacemaker while exercising control through force. Oil tankers connected to Venezuela have been seized in recent days. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the world. This doesn't look like a narrow arrest operation. It looks like militarized regime change. Trump claims he's ended 7 wars, sometimes 8, sometimes 8 and a quarter, but ending wars doesn't include starting new ones, and peace doesn't begin with airstrikes. Call it what it is. It's not law enforcement, it's not an arrest operation, it's certainly not peacekeeping. It was an invasion dressed up as law enforcement. Thank you all so much for watching my video. And to understand what all of this means going forward and why it matters, please click over to part 2. If you found this video useful, please like, share, and subscribe. And please let me know in the comments what you think. Even just an emoji as a comment really helps the algorithm get my videos out to more people. Everything helps, and I would really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to smash the bell to be notified whenever Mr. Robbie has something to say. And if you like what I do and would like to support me, you can buy me a cup of coffee on Ko-fi by scanning the QR code on screen or clicking the link in the description. Thank you, and stay tuned for part 2 next.